word shacking is a word that was made up by our ancestors and by our parents and our parents' parents and whatnot, our grandparents. So that word is not even in the Bible, right? In the Bible, it does not bring up anything about, you should not shack up or anything like that, or whatnot. The only thing about shacking is, I don't feel like, if you could have self-control living in the house with your companion or your spouse, then that's fine. As long as you don't have any temptations. Because the ultimate goal is to wait to have sex before, until you're married. Let's say Crystal and I decided to live separately, but we was coming to each other's house and still indulging in those same temptations, ultimately that led to sex prior to marriage. Then you're still creating the same sin as if you was still living with each other. So, in my opinion, I don't think that living together increases the chances of sex before marriage. I think it is as equal as not living with each other. When you don't live with each other, then you get together, you haven't seen each other for a certain amount of days, you have that burning passion within you, and you like, man, I haven't seen you, I miss you. So those increases the chances as well. We hadn't even moved into our place yet. I kind of just moved into her place. At this point, my lease was up, and so I was like, you know what, I hadn't decided where I wanted to stay at yet. So I decided, okay, we came to a consensual agreement that I would basically stay with her for a little bit, for a few months. And so I did. And one day her mom came into town and she went off on me, like in a nice way, because at this time her and I were still developing and establishing our relationship, but she went off on me. She was like, hey, are y'all staying together? And she was like, don't lie to me. And I was like, yes ma'am, we are. My mom did the same thing too. My mom was like, what's going on? That's not right, things of that nature. And I was like, this is what it is at the moment. And so both of our parents was both they disagreed with both of our actions and our decisions to stay with each other. But at that point, it was just too late. Couldn't go against it.
Originally, when we first started dating, like even the first year, before we actually even lived together, I think we just had standards that we both wanted each other to understand in our own faith, with not being sexually active with each other or being sexually active at all. And so I know that if you know Marcel or you know me, you'll know that when we first started even conversing with each other, Marcel couldn't come to my house at night. Like, he couldn't be in my house after 7 p.m. If we were like gonna watch a movie or go to the movies or chill or Netflix, whatever, it had to be before 7 o'clock. 7:30. One time I remember Marcel was in my house and then like we were watching a movie and I think I cooked or something. And he ended up staying over this like almost 8, and he like decided he was gonna take his shoes off. Well, hold on, player. So you're gonna have to go because you're getting a little too comfortable. So he like kind of dozed off on my couch, and we used to sit on two opposite sides of the couch. Like we never like got close to each other. Like we're very lovey-dovey now, but we never were like that in the beginning because in the dating stage, I had standards that I didn't want to cross lines with. Don't act like it's not true.
My mother, I think she gave me even more of a harder time. She was really, really letting me know. Matter of fact, we had a conversation. Remember that time?
We got into it with his entire family.
We did. I thought we
because
did.
They tried to, and you have to understand at this point in our life, Marcel had accepted his calling and he was moving further and further into his ministry. And for me, I'm not the type of person, I'm not a judgmental person. I don't believe that all preachers and pastors and reverends and ministers are saints. Like, I believe that they all have a calling on their life. I believe that they all have a job and a duty to proclaim and push God's word into people, for people, and through people, right? But I do not believe that, and I guess I learned that while dating Marcel because of his calling. I just don't look at preachers or ministers as a better person or a perfect person. As I said, no, I don't think so. And I mean, and just even me growing in my own faith, I consider myself a very highly qualified Christian. But I think that I have plenty of flaws. I'm a sinner, and I've done things that are not Christian-like, and I don't think that people should be judged all the time on things that they do, because sometimes, especially in the ministry world, ministers can't minister to us unless they go through something or they dealt with something in order to let us know what you're not supposed to do, how things are supposed to be done, things of that sort. And so, during that time where we decided to move in with each other, neither of our families were in agreement with it. His family kind of...
I think that was more harder on us than your parents were.
Well, my family was a bit smaller. We didn't really tell my outside family. We just kind of told my mom and my sisters, but your aunts and uncles and everybody knew, and they kind of were like, we kind of explained to them the circumstance of us moving together, and they kind of were like, well, it sounds like, this were their words, it sounds like y'all are using each other as a crutch. And so when they said that, Marcella and I actually fell out the whole 4-hour ride back home because my feelings were hurt. Because I felt like his family was saying, well, one of y'all using each other.
Well, they basically thought I was using you.
Well, I felt some type of way about that. I get real offensive when people say something about my man. Thank you.
Yeah, that.
And so if you don't put yourself in certain situations, you won't be in a situationship. And I know a lot of friends and girls that I know complain about, where things went to third base and they happen and then the relationship doesn't evolve or it doesn't go anywhere. Well, that's because you didn't set the standards in the beginning. And I'm not blaming women for not being able to captivate relationships. I just feel like as women, we can take full control of whether or not we end up in a relationship based on the fact of allowing or not allowing certain things to happen in situations. But going to the shacking part, I think our living together eventually became circumstantial. It just made sense. I think that the stronger you are, and we've had this conversation with our parents, and our parents were not in agreement with us moving in with each other. We did move in together before we were married. No, we didn't vocalize that to people in the community, but our parents knew. Right. And older people, and I'm not even gonna say older people, people who are set in certain ways already, and not to say that those ways are by any means wrong, but they have their mindset on living together is wrong, and they don't feel like two young people can live together and actually avoid temptation. We had a long conversation with one of Marcel's aunts, and she kind of was like, well, how are y'all going out and empowering youth and helping them become better people in the world if y'all are living in sin? And I kind of was like, well, we all living in sin. And she was like, well, you know what I mean. Well, no, I don't.
No, I mean, and I think people have to understand that God uses imperfect people for perfect situations. He uses imperfect people to get the perfect message out to the perfect crowd or the perfect audience or whatnot. I mean, let's look at all the people in the Bible, just real briefly, like Peter, David, Paul. They all had, their downfalls. They all had, some bad or some flaws about them.
I was saying Moses was a killer. He was a murderer.
Saul changed his name to Paul. Everybody had some issues. David was an adulterer. He committed adultery, and God still used every one of those, every single one of those individuals to become somebody to relay a message on his behalf. And so to speak on his behalf. And so I had to tell, my family members at that same time, just because, me and her, or her and I, we acknowledge that, any sin that we do is wrong or whatnot. Whether I go out and I indulge into drinking or whatnot, or we use profanity or anything like that, you don't have to, and I'll say this, temptation doesn't have to just happen within the four walls of your home. Like, you could be tempted to say something wrong against someone that you're not supposed to say. You could be tempted to see something wrongful, through lusting through your eyes. Like, that's just as bad. And so people always just want to make it simple. And here we go with the tradition. Traditionally, people want to make it seem like one sin is greater than another sin.
Right, and they're not. Because people who are already married are sinning against each other. It may not be sexually, but people who are married together, people who have kids, everybody has sin. We wake up every day in sin.
Right.
So no sin is greater than the other. And I think that sometimes we overlook the fact that we are all sinners and just try to crucify people based on the specific sin that you see or that you feel like.
I think relationships are a big part of being in business. I mean, you separate it. It's made up of several entities: love, companionship, affection, trust, friendship, business as well, spirituality, all those things. And so we looked at it, at one point in our life. Like when we lived in our separate apartments at one time, she was always in my place.
He was
I was always
in
at her place.
Running in my light bill.
And then it got to a point, and I'm just being fully transparent, it just got to a point to where we would never spend time alone. We was always at someone's house at night. And so I thought financially, I was like, we could really be saving, a month full of rent and start applying it elsewhere. And so that's how that transition happened of us moving in together and things of that nature. But I used to argue with my parents all the time. I said, if Crystal and I lived in separate places and we still had that same temptation, then
you still sin.
But
that doesn't work for everybody. Everybody doesn't look at it like they can live together and avoid temptation. And I'm not saying that temptation hasn't happened with us. I'm just saying that in order to shack, in the sense as people say, you have to be fully focused on what the goal is, and that's marriage. And so if you're not committed to honoring God's covenant and moving forward with that, then it would never work to shack, in a sense.
And I think you try to relay this message to my family as well. You can't sit up here and say that we're indulging in temptation or we're tempted to do anything because we live with one another. The fact that you're judging us is the same sin
that you're accusing
us of.
Yeah. And I had that conversation with, I think that was your mom. She told me that I'm not going to tell her that, and in no way possibly am I being disrespectful, but her words were, Marcel's mom said, you're not going to tell me you living in the house with this man and y'all not having sex. I said, yes I am telling you that. I'm telling you that your son and I live together and we do not indulge in sex. And she just, it was offensive to me. My feelings were hurt, and I told Marcel about it. And he made me understand that she wasn't saying, that I was just some trickster out here,
Yeah, I mean, I just pulled it up, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 9. It says that, but if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion.
And I think that relationships are different based on people. But one thing I know we learned even through marriage counseling over the last couple of weeks in our sessions is that couples that actually live together, statistically, that live together before marriage actually have a higher rate of divorce than couples who don't live together. That don't live together before marriage. And so we thought that was really odd because we feel like after our...
I feel like you just gotta test drive me before you actually buy the car. I'm not talking about... I'm not talking about sexually. I'm just saying I need to know how you live, how your regular or daily accommodation.
I agree. People have standards and things that they just can't deal with.
I need to see, do you rinse the sink out?
Do you put the bowl in the sink after you eat cereal? Because I do not play that. That's disgusting.
I need to see if you after you come home, do you just throw your shoes on the floor, or you take them to the closet, or do you just take your bra off and throw it around? Or do you... My bra. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying,
That out of all things that could be thrown around, you wanted to know if I took my bra.
I'm just saying, or do you wash dishes immediately after cooking? Those things you have to know. And I think living separately, you don't know. And let's think deeper than that. I think living separately, I'm not promoting shacking and I'm not promoting living separately. This
is what worked for him.
It is what it is.
And it worked for us. And that's just something that we can express.
I think, me personally, it's like, I have to know who you are. You don't really show your true colors or your true character until you're around that person, privately.
I personally think that people don't get comfortable until they're like, put that down. I don't feel like people get comfortable until they're in situations where their comfortability is all they have. And I think that kind of happened with living with each other. Yes, because like Marcel never saw me in a bonnet, which he absolutely hates, until we like moved in together. He thought it was the most despicable item that I could have owned.
I remember I never even used to see you get your hair done.
We're not gonna discuss that.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Wow, that's crazy.
But we lived together, and then I was able to experience that. But you know,
what you trying to say?
It's nothing bad. I'm just saying, like, you know,
Let's just move on from that point.
If I never lived with you, I would have never known. I would have never seen it.
I don't want to talk about that. But anyway, so we'll move on from that. Yeah, that was disrespectful.
I'm just saying.
But I guess you learn each other's pet peeves as well.
So do you believe in living together before marriage?
I don't. I don't believe in it, and I don't disbelieve in it.
So why?
I think that the actions that occurred in my life are different from the next person, and I think this works for me.
What makes it okay for you to go against your values and your beliefs?
I don't think I went against my values.
You did.
I did. I think my values shifted.
No. Do you believe in living together prior to marriage?
No, but I think that our living together became circumstantial, which means that my values shifted. Because eventually, I valued what I valued, but I also valued money. I valued nicer things, and valuing those things could only happen by the circumstance of us living together, because one of us was saving more money. Okay. So I'm not promoting and not promoting. I'm just saying that this is what happened. I love you.
Do you believe or do you not believe in living together?
I live with you.
Prior to marriage?
I didn't. I didn't believe in that.
But did your values switch?
My values became circumstantial.
Values can't become circumstantial.
They did. My values shifted.
No, listen to me. Values can never become circumstantial.
Myself.
If they become circumstantial, then they're not really valued.
Do you value your phone?
No.
Not at all?
No.
So you can throw it on the floor every day and buy a new one?
Yes, because I can replace it. You can't replace values.
I'm not saying I can replace my values. I said my values shifted.
I'm saying I can throw the phone down and I'm like, all right, move on.
Okay, personally, something else. I'm telling you that my values shifted because of my circumstance.
All right, give me an example. And specifically living with each other.
Money. I like you. I like nicer things. I like valuable things. I like expensive things. I like trips. I like traveling. A lot of those things were getting in the way when it came to both of us doing those things together, because both of us were paying rent, paying car note, paying this, paying that, and spending money on each other.
Well, in that case, I think the value is still that you still value living separately prior to marriage. But
so why do you think we live together?
You prioritize materialistic things over those values. Like some things became precedent over the main value.
I don't think necessarily they became over it. So are you saying that you forced me for us to stay together?
No.
So then what are you saying? Because if you're saying that I in a sense, you're basically saying I lowered my value. That means I lowered my standards to be with you. If that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. You're saying that I lowered my standards to be with you because we moved in with each other before we were married.
You totally went left.
Okay, well then you better take me back right because that's what you said.
You tripping. Standards and values are still separate.
I didn't say
you didn't lower your standards. You got me messed up. You raised your standards.
Oh. And in no way, by all means, in no way are we saying that, you know, if you and your partner are in love or in a relationship, y'all should go move in. I am not saying that at all. Let me dispute that right now. We're not saying
I don't think nothing wrong with it.
I didn't say there's anything wrong, but we're not promoting shacking in a sense. We're not promoting
shacking. It's not a word.
I know. I'm just saying we're not promoting it. We're just stating what we dealt with and what we went through.